Yeah, the Brodeur thing was that is painful. But I think, there was a lot of, by the way, there's a bunch of people online that think Brodeur was never a very good goalie, but had a great team around him. There's a bunch of anti-Brodeur conspiracy theorists out there. I don't know how true it is, but I know that there's like this subsection of Twitter that's like, he wasn't actually very good.
Well,
and
okay.
The Devils played the trap, and
I will argue he's 3. I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's the second best.
Who's number 1 for you?
Hasek. The conversation is 2 goalies to me. And
is this just NHL?
Yeah, this is just NHL. Like, you'd have to, like, a guy like Sawchuk, who was so many years ago, like, that's difficult to evaluate. But Hasek, by the numbers, was a better goalie than
anyone.
Patrick Waugh. Winning matters. And Waugh won a lot more. He won, I think it was 4 cups, 2 with Montreal, 2 with Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
He was unbelievable.
Yes, 86 and 93, and then 96, and then 2002 or 2000. Which one was it?
Or 1. I think it was it was 2001, because next year was the Statue of Liberty goal.
Right.
Which I did a Dang It's video about. That's wild, because they had the opportunity to wrap up Detroit in 6 games and probably go to the final. They would have gone to the final. They would have played Carolina, and they would have mopped them. They would have killed them, and they would have won back-to-back cups. Instead, the Statue of Liberty goal happens, and I don't think Colorado scored another goal that series. They lost that game. I think it was 2-1, and they got killed like 7-0 in Game 7. Yeah, and then he was never the same. He was out of the league like a year later.
All right. So the top 5 goalies of all time is some combination of Waugh, Brodeur, Hasek, Sawchuk, and Plante.
Pretty tough to disagree with
probably, that. I mean,
I don't know
other names.
I don't know what order, but I think that's the top 5 in some order.
Yeah, throw in some other names. Like, it's just a shame that the 80s eliminates everyone, which isn't that wrong? Like, that should be. Oh yeah, that's true. Petrograd, he won a cup in the 80s. Damn, you're right.
And the 80s, I don't think it should eliminate. Like, Mike Vernon was a very, very good goaltender, completely not... Like, I think Mike Vernon doesn't get enough credit for being as good as he was.
Really underrated. Underrated
outstanding goalie. He was so good. There's a few goalies from the 80s that I think deserve a little bit more credit than what they got. But I would agree with the top 5, Jesse. So what's the order, guys? What's your top 5 of those 5? Because they are the top of the game. There's no question.
Right.
No goalie for a period of time was better than Dominik Hasek was. This is the greatest run any goalie's ever had or ever will have. Where is it?
Until someone else does.
Until someone else does, because it always happens that way in sports. So starting in 92-93, his save percentages, 930, 930, 920, bum, 930, 932, 937, 919, 921, 915, and then he fell off a little bit and still had another 925 season. Jesus! He was unbelievable. His awards in order: Jennings, Vezina, Hart, Pearson, Vezina, Hart, Pearson, Vezina, Jennings, Vezina, Jennings. And he should have had another Vezina.
Did he win a cup with Detroit?
He did.
Okay. Yeah. I look at Hasek's career is similar to Jordan in the respect that they peak at the peak of where nobody else has peaked, but they don't have the longevity as much as some of the other top players.
Like Waugh did.
Because
Waugh had almost 20 years, right?
Yeah, and Brodeur has almost like 300 more wins than Hasek. Like it's not even comparable in terms of gameplay. Same with even Waugh. Like Waugh has like 200 more than Hasek. So I think, but I don't think anybody. You just read it off there, Steve. I don't think anybody's peaked as high as Hasek has peaked. So I would probably go with.
That's a pretty long peak. What is it? 7 years that you just mentioned?
Right.
His between 94 and 2001, only 96 and 2000 were his only years without at least one trophy.
That's crazy.
Stupid.
There's no dominance like that.
he should have another Vezina. He was robbed. It was
He
Jim.
played for the Ottawa Senators too. Oh my God.
He won the first ever shootout against the Leafs.
Against the
I
Leafs.
didn't know that. What?
Yes, he did. He won the first ever shootout in a game that Jason Spezza was in. Jim the Net Detective Carey won the Vezina in 95-96 with a amazing record of 35, 24, and 9, and those 9 are ties. He had a 906 save percentage. And it was the last time in his NHL career he had a save percentage above 900. It was robbery. But where was Hasek and all that? I got to see. 95, 96, he had a 920. Robbed. Robbed. Well, I mean, there might have been a goalie with a better save percentage. It wasn't Patrick Waugh, though, because Patrick Waugh, while he was heroic on that playoff run, his regular season that year was actually relatively mediocre between Montreal and Colorado. Hasek was robbed.
Let me say this, too. Steve, I don't know if you've ever done a trade tree involving Dominik Hasek, but up there among the worst trades of NHL history. First off, the fact that the Chicago Blackhawks with Belfour and Hasek backing him up did not win a Stanley Cup is crazy. The Hawks were like, no, we'll go with Jimmy Waite instead.
You know what's amazing?
They traded Hasek to the Sabres for Stefan Beauregard and future considerations.
No, so that future considerations, Adam, so I have a different page up, was a 1993 fourth round pick who turned into Eric Daze, who was good for
player.
them.
That's the worst trade of all time.
That could be the worst trade of all time.
They did better than they should have, and it's still a pile of shit. That is a horrible And then Buffalo traded him to Detroit for Vyacheslav Kozlov, who I never knew was a Sabre, and a 2002 first who turned it into Jim Slater.
Oh,
a lot of Jim Slater jerseys out there. And a 2003 conditional pick, not exercised, it says. Okie doke.
So the thing is, you don't win when you're trading the superstar.
Kozlov played 38 games as a Sabre, 9 goals, 22 points.
Probably re-signed with Detroit after that and said, "Fuck this."
No, he went to the Thrashers.
Oh,
yeah, you could have. Yeah, Detroit would have been good.
I got to say,
Atlanta.
It's pretty fascinating that. Like, I would love to know. I know Chicago's that team was very, very good. I think Tony Amonte was he on there yet? Was he a Ranger at that point?
It was Amonte, Roenick,
Hasek, Belfour. Like, it was a good Chelios. They could have had a run like this, like the Blackhawks had in the last 10 years.
Dave Manson.
They should have won 2 or 3 cups with that team. Like, you look at what the Penguins were. I know the Penguins beat them in the finals. Chicago should have won in '94 or something. Like, they should have.
I hated them because they beat the Leafs too.
Yeah.
In the playoffs. I hated that series. It was the Leafs weren't in the same category.
No,
they weren't in the same stratosphere as the Blackhawks that year.
And you had all those players that were that young. Dave Manson, who was mean to play against, young.
Didn't they have Brian Marchment?
Young. Yeah, absolutely. I think wasn't Bob Probert traded to them at that point too, or something
Probably.
like that. There was like it's just a mean team to play against, and they traded Hasek. Crazy. So give me your top 5 though. Let's get into it.
Okay. Was number 1. It's so tough. I always say Hasek.
Well, if Hasek's your guy, say Hasek.
Waugh has the best career. Hasek has the best stretch.
So what are you going with?
So there's 1 and 2. Waugh is number 1. Hasek is number 2. I'm going to make Brodeur number 3 just because I am the age that I am. And then it's going to have to be, it doesn't matter between Sawchuk and Plant. I don't know. Plant to make Habs fans happy, then Sawchuk.
Jesse.
There.
Like a guy like Sawchuk, he's got, it's only him and Brodeur with 100+ shutouts. And like he did that in the 50s and 60s.
Never mind. Sawchuk 4. Plon 5.
But then you go to Plon. It's like Plon won what 7 Stanley Cups in 10 years, and you're like, he was the backbone of all that Canadiens dynasty. Like, how can you not pick the guy who was the goaltender for that era of hockey?
If winning matters, right?
That's the greatest winning team in the history of hockey. Well, maybe the Oilers there, but if it's the Canadiens, then you got to pick the goalie from that era. So like, I don't know. It's a toss up between those two, but
and winning, by the way, like people, there's been an overcorrection. Like people are using winning like it's an insult against goalies, and people use that on Grant Fuhr all the time, and I think that's wrong. Like, listen, his numbers are not wonderful, but he won.
Right?
Yeah,
he won. Like we talked about how hard it was to stop pucks in the 80s. Well, he stopped enough to win that many times, so yeah, he should 100% be in the Hall of Fame. His numbers don't stack up against other Hall of Famers. They did not play when he played. You know what I mean? He should 100% be in there. Too many people try to discount him.
Yeah. Well, Grant Fuhr should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, because it's safe for shut up.
Well,
he won 5 cups?
5.
4 cups.
I think 5. I think he was on the 90 team. It was Ranford. That's right. He was a Leaf, wasn't he?
He got the Conn Smythe. Was Ranford ever?
No, I mean, Fuhr was a Leaf at that point.
Fuhr. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was at that specific time, but yeah.
I have to say, for me, it's going to be, I'm going to say Hasek, because to me, it's got to be, if we're talking about best, you're talking about winningness.
Talking about what? Sorry? What?
Yes. Talking about best. Okay. Sorry, I forgot. Dickie Bob. We're talking about the best at their best. Dominic Hasek.
Mm-hmm.
He dragged some pretty rough-looking Sabres teams to much further than they should have been. Like, we're being honest. The Dallas Stars in 1999 were murderers, all of them. Like, that is
such a good team.
Spectacularly stacked team. Unbelievable. And that is why you don't want a salary cap, because look at what that Dallas team was. That was just 4 lines of scary. And Hasek took him to 6 games, and it took an illegal goal in game 6, which was an objectively illegal goal.
It was illegal.
For them to have that Stanley Cup stolen. Yeah, if Buffalo ties that game and Dallas has to go against Buffalo in game 7 and Dominic Hasek's in the net, I don't know, guys. I don't know about that.
I got to give you an idea of that team. Who was the leading scorer of the 99 Buffalo Sabres? Dominic Hasek? No. Can you imagine?
99 Buffalo Sabres? Was it Miro Shatan?
It was Miro Shatan. 66 points. That's it. He did have 40 goals, though.
Yeah.
40's a lot.
He's the only one who could score for them. And that was in a low-scoring era as well. That's important to know.
Yeah. Mike Pekka was number 2 at 27 and 56, followed by Michael Groshek with 20 goals and 50 points. And Dixon Ward also had 20 goals for that team.
Was Donald Audette on that team?
Was Donald Audette on that team? Let me see.
Donald Audette. Donald Audette's one of my favorite 90s players that never gets mentioned in anything. Good old Donnie Audette.
He was good in NHL 2001. The top playoff scorer tied 2 defensemen, Alexei Zhitnik and Jason Woolley, with 15 points in a 21-game run. The top goal scorers, 3-way tie at 7. 7 in 21 games. Stu Barnes.
Yeah.
We both.
Yeah.
At the same time, Dixon Ward and Curtis Brown.